Paltrocast.
I'll start off with a two-part. I'll say, how are you? And the second question, does anyone get to call you Graham, or are you Suggs to everyone?
Yeah, I'm Suggs to everyone now. Yeah, apart from the police and the Inland Revenue.
Well, Suggs, it's a pleasure to connect. And how are you? Because I didn't properly ask that. I rushed that in there.
I'm good, man. I'm great. Yeah, really good. Yeah, it's nice to be, at it again after, like all of us, years of doing nothing. It's great to be out doing it. I mean, I never thought I'd look forward to doing interviews, but I'm just glad to get out the hats.
Right. Well, when you say doing nothing, I look at your career and I go, okay, the guy's been successful for 40 plus years straight, because not only Madness, the success as a radio presenter, your solo career, etc. When did you kind of realize that your career was not going to be so dependent on chart hits, that you didn't have to necessarily worry about the next hit because there was a Suggs universe happening?
Yeah, it's sort of incremental in the same way that it built up in the first place, and then, in fact, what happened was our keyboard player, Mike, left in the mid-'80s, and we had kind of 5 or 6 years where the band wasn't operating, so I had to find something else to do. And, I found myself doing radio, one-man show, television and all that, and that was when I, discovered that I could do other things. But, the band is still the love of my life. Without that, none of that other stuff would have happened. So I'm very glad to be back doing the stuff with the band.
I'm a person who likes to go through YouTube for hours, and my YouTube algorithm always comes back to Madness headlining festivals, playing to 50,000 people a night, no matter the country in Europe, which is fantastic to see that the band is still in top form. We in the States haven't gotten a tour in a while, but we are getting this new record thanks to BMG. Theater of the Absurd presents C'est La Vie. When did you finish the record?
About 4 or 5 months ago. Yeah, I mean, we were all writing during the lockdown period, and so we had about 40 odd songs when we all got together, and so it was quite nice. We rented an industrial space, and we're rehearsing there, and then one of the bands said, why don't we actually try recording in this space rather than, because going into a recording studio, obviously you have a time restraints, so we didn't. So we had about 6 months of recording all these songs, and then it was just a small matter of how many can we get on this album. So you still we tripled out at one point. I said, but come on, man, it's starting to get a bit Spinal Tap. So we finished it a little while ago.
Yeah, was it an easy creative process for you and the guys? Because it's not like you're doing one album a year, so therefore you do have time to write the songs. Writing the songs used to be the most difficult part for a lot of bands.
Yeah, and a bit like you say, making a decision to do what you want to do when you want to do it, rather than when a record company wants to do it, obviously is a kind of privilege, because we've got to this position where it doesn't seem like anyone's going to throw us off the stage, imminently. So we have time. Yeah, I mean, 7 years. Yes, is enough time to write one fucking album. But of course, when we were younger, we were still kind of like in a 60s kind of mode, where you put out 3 singles, an album every year, and you never really get a chance to catch up with yourself. But now we're not in that position. And as you say, all these festivals, that's all happened relatively recent. I mean, when we started out, there was probably only 2 festivals in Great Britain.
Yeah.
But now there's hundreds of them all over Europe, and for some reason they keep wanting us to come and perform at them, which is perfect.
Yeah, when we watch one of those festival performances, it's pretty much, to me, it seems like it's 80% the hits, 20% more stuff that you want to play. So this upcoming run of shows where you're still doing arenas all these years later, is it going to be a lot from C'est La Vie?
Well, this is a conversation that constantly goes on. I mean, some of the band would like to play more new songs, some wouldn't. I mean, as you say, 20-30%, we've always, just for our own stimulation, tried to, inject stuff that stops us just becoming some kind of nostalgia band. But on the
Right.
other hand, I realise a lot of people who come haven't seen us before, you know, and they want to hear all the big hits. So you're constantly trying to balance those two elements, which hopefully we do.
I think you do, and the energy is very high. You know, ska and reggae, not easy genres to play at any age, and the energy stays up. Now, I've read Mick Jagger before he goes on stage sprints and does ballet kind of stuff to keep the energy up.
Yeah.
What do you do to be able to do fast music where breath control is needed to get out all those words?
A 3 or 4 large tequilas, very good for the passage, you know, vocal passage in the nostrils. Yeah, no, I hear that stuff. Yeah, I see people jogging before they do concerts. I don't know. Yeah, I don't have a specific routine. You know, I mean, once I'm on stage, the adrenaline seems to take over, and especially the sort of audiences that we have, you get this mutual kind of acceleration of adrenaline, and it just seems to go of its own accord. Yeah, I heard that with Mick, and then he spends 2 days in a dark room after his concerts. Yeah. But I mean, given that he is 80, I mean, fair dues. I mean, we keep thinking we're getting old, but they keep pushing that boundary. Yeah, they keep pushing it. Yeah, yeah.
I read more specifically with Mick that one of the requirements in the rider was a track, like a running track, has to be somewhere close to the proximity of the stage for him to do the sprints.
Yeah.
Do you have anything like that in your rider, that it has to be that specific kind of tequila for you to do the vocal warm-ups?
No, you know, our dressing room looks like a sort of New York bar. Yeah, I mean, I don't know who these things come along, and no one can remember who ordered them. You know, Bison Glass vodka, and God only knows what's in there. But it makes our crew very happy because they get to sweep up all that's left after we've gone. And I think we've got a pool table once. I think that's the closest we got to sort of pre-gig exercise.
Right. Speaking of New York bars, any idea if we're going to get a Madness tour in the US within the next few years?
Yeah, we are. I think we're coming next year. Yeah, we are. I can't remember, I'm sorry, the dates or where we're going. But again, this was something that we planned to do 2 years ago and got postponed and postponed. So, yeah, we're doing, I think, 10 gigs in America. I can't remember what they are. But I'm looking forward to it. I haven't been there for a long time now. So, yeah, that we're looking forward to it.
It's a fascinating thing to me that you've always been this arena band, and then when you come to the States, that there weren't as many hits. So therefore, you have to either be a theater band or a club band. And some bands feel like that hurts the ego, and then other bands go, "Oh, this is so easy to just use all the arena tricks on a small venue." How do you kind of feel about it, knowing that Americans were not smart enough for Madness the way they were everywhere else in the world?
Yeah, I mean we do it here, even though, we prefer arenas, sometimes we choose just to play smaller venues because it's fun, And going to America's fun, which we haven't done for a while, and playing those small, I mean, we're not going out there not going out to America to make a lot of money, believe me. But it's just a bit of fun, and I say, given that we don't, I mean, don't tour for years on end, like we used to, where it does start to get a bit grinding. Now you look forward to these kind of trips. And so playing smaller venues, it's really good fun, and a very different experience actually. It's not the same as playing an arena. You've got a much sort of smaller scale of how you perform and your interaction with the crowd, I find it's obviously just much more intimate. So you can look at people's faces and interact with individuals. And I like that, yeah.
So an interview that I was watching, it was one of the England-based festivals that I was watching of yours on YouTube. You were talking about how every 10 years there's a new rise for Madness that just kind of comes out of nowhere. Is that basically every time people remember ska in a way and then people cover you? Or is there a certain event that triggers that, you find, that every 10 years?
Yeah, it's hard to say. I mean, it also seems to coincide when there's some sort of financial recession. They want to be cheered up, so they drag us out of the wardrobe, and there's something along those lines. But yeah, I don't know. I suppose like you say, you whole YouTube phenomenon. You've got kids now who can access what we do, and their parents can show them. When we were younger, it was a struggle to find out about bands. To go and buy their records, to even see a photograph. And now, obviously, all of our work is up there, and so you get all these kids who know all the words, which is very different from what it was a long time ago.
Yeah, for me with YouTube, I find that if I want to know if a band is any good, I say I'm going to look what's on Wikipedia, what's on YouTube. Oh, okay, they've got credits. Oh, they can play, and then you go, I'm going to see them. It's a great marketing technique. So maybe for you, it's annoying to see everyone on their phones the whole time because they're not interacting, but at the same time, they're kind of selling your show internationally. Is that fair to say?
Interesting. A lot of people getting annoyed about that. I don't. No, you're right. You're right. I mean, it's a pleasure for me then at the end of the tour to see pretty much every song's been recorded one way or another from different angles and from
Yeah.
different people, and to look back on the tour itself, because often we're not filming ourselves, but those phones are so good that you get a really good quality recording. Yeah, I mean, you wouldn't want everyone doing it, but I can understand, there's certain moments that people all want to record. I mean, for us, it's things like It Must Be Love. All of a sudden, you see the whole crowd away with the cameras.
Yeah.
But, I don't think there's anything, wrong with that person.
Yeah, we're starting to see more bands that make you lock up your phone in a pouch. I think comedians started with that, and then I know the Misfits do that, etc. Glad to see Madness is not doing that. So with Madness, is there a lot in the archives in terms of recorded shows, demos, etc., or do we get it if it's good enough at this point? That if you said it's good enough, it came out the first time.
No, there is a lot. I mean, just like I was saying with this new album, I mean, there's 20, 30 tracks that we didn't put on the album, not because they weren't good enough, just that we went through the process of a triple album, a double album, and then we just came, well, look, just put 14, what we feel are relevant at this moment in time. I mean, it's boring, don't want to go on about the lockdown and all that pandemic, but most of the songs on this album were written during that period, and it was an expression of each individual member of the band's feelings. We all had very different feelings. It was almost like we were a microcosm of society in that we had very different opinions about what was right and wrong about it. But when we got together, it's just like, well, it's kind of what we've always been about, which is tolerance of each other and tolerance of different opinions. I read an article recently with people saying, it seems like the middle ground has been thrashed and burned. That you're not allowed to sometimes see two opinions. And fortunately, we've known each other for so long, that is something that we're capable of doing, even though I don't agree with half the fuckers. But that's it goes.
Right. Well, two quick questions, and then I'll let you go. And the first one is, one of the great things that we see as part of the C'est La Vie materials is Helen Mirren, Ms. Dame Helen Mirren. I don't want to insult her, reading some of the lyrics to your new album. Was she originally a fan of Madness, or is this a friend of a friend of a friend scenario?
Well, she's a friend, yeah. I've known her for a long time. I've got a house in Italy, and she's got one just down the road. And so we just got to know each other, and she's just a great human being. I mean, she's been to see the band a few times. It's just fantastic. She comes on the bus, with a bobble out with her sister, and she has, very little pretension in that regard. But I do remember when she done, was it the Queen or something like that? I was sitting outside a restaurant, and I said to my friends, please don't freak out. Queen was just coming around the corner, and two of my friends fell off their chairs. They couldn't quite believe it. But no, what good sport, she said, yeah, I'll do it. She hadn't even heard the song. And it made for a rather nice, bit of colour for the promotion of the album, of course.
That and the Martin Friedman one, both great. And the last question, your job is to entertain people. And usually people who entertain people go, I want to do the exact opposite when I'm not working. So I want the most quiet thing possible. But in your case, what's the last concert that you went to for fun? The concert that you chose to go to that you went, this will be a good time and I want to go.
It was a band called Kid Kamachi, I think they're called. I hope I pronounced that correctly. I think they're coming to America, actually. They're just kind of starting out. I heard a track by them, which was fantastic. And then, in fact, I've just done a track with them. So I suppose there was a vested interest. But yeah, they're a great band. Yes. Look them up.
Okay, I'm going to look them up. But hey,
Right.
thank you, Suggs, for the many,
Thank
many
you
years of
very
great
much.
music. Without you, no ska in America. So thank you, Suggs.
You know, what can I say?
Paltrocast.